some hockey tonight.
Energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gouche Live. Brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gouche.
Hey, good evening, good afternoon. I think it's afternoon. It could be evening. No, it may be morning. But you know what? You're with Gouche Live right here. I'm Kerry Goulet, better known as the Gouche, brought to you by our good people at the Hockey News and, of course, Sports Illustrated. Listen, we're just waiting for our guest to just show up into the green room, André Lacroix. We're not sure why we didn't hear from him this morning, so maybe there was a glitch in the internet. Oh my God, how would that happen in this day and age? So what I'm going to do is going to walk you through some stuff. Montreal Canadiens have decided that they're going to start Allen tonight. Yes, Jake Allen is in net, and I think they have to really take a peek at what's going on with that goaltending controversy, because now we've heard rumors through Val that Carey Price did not know there was going to be a goalie coaching change. So, wow, are there fireworks going to happen in Montreal? And tonight, of course, they go up against my Winnipeg Jets, and we're looking forward to a W. Yes, a W. Winnipeg Jets are playing well. Really like the way Dubois fit in. Obviously, it was Scheifele and Wheeler. That is one heck of a good line, I'll tell you what. And obviously, the power play. Paul Stastny is just increasingly better. Kyle Connor, what a great player. And it's Hellerbuck against Price. No, it's not Price. It's going to be Allen. Listen, I just got a notice from André Lacroix. Are we still on? I guess there must be a little glitch in the transfer of information. Apologize for that. We're going to try and get him on for a short interview if we can't get him on right now. And then I'll keep filling you in what's going on. Here we go. Just waiting for him. This is live TV. Well, live internet. Same kind of deal, right? You got to just make it up as you go along here. So listen, I'm just sending him an email. I apologize. Sent you details. Here we go. Okay, talking about goaltenders. Think about this for a second. Marc-Andre Fleury. His 11th game last night with a win. That's crazy. With a 5-1 win over the Wild. Wild don't look so wild right at this moment. And the Parisi story still kind of haunts me. I know they're trying to keep with proper it's got to be equal, but I'll tell you what, leaving Parisi out of your lineup for that kind of incident, I don't know. I'm not buying that. Marc-Andre Fleury, 11-3-0. Is he a candidate for Team Canada? Well, Price battles. As Val says, they're going to have to take a serious look at that. And of course, breaking news, Oilers stink. And I love Gene Principe. I watched him eggingly talk about the Edmonton Oilers last night. What is going on in Oilers? It's always we're going somewhere. We were in Montreal. We started out in Vancouver, issues. Then we went to Montreal. Then we went over to Calgary. We thought Ottawa was in trouble. I think they're the surprise of everybody. And I go on record as saying this. The Ottawa Senators are going to be the spoiler in this whole platform in this year. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to beat teams like they did Montreal, or like they did the Edmonton Oilers, and, of course, the Calgary Flames. So we'll see how that plays itself out. We talked about a coaching change. We thought maybe, Green. What about Ward? They did it in Montreal. There's always some rumors about Winnipeg. Man, it's just going all over the place. But I think there won't be any more coaching changes, I think, other than the fact that Montreal needed a shift. And we are so blessed. So blessed André Lacroix is with me, because you know what? I just can't keep talking all by myself. And look at the backdrop I got for this kid. Hey, modern technology. André, I'm sorry. I sent you an email last night. Obviously, something must have gone on. I sent you a new one, and there you are.
I'm glad to be on with you, Gary.
André Lacroix.
I hope you're doing well.
Well, listen to this. I'm going to throw some cheap French at you. Bonjour, comment allez-vous aujourd'hui?
Ça va très bien, et toi?
Petit peu.
That's enough French for you.
I know, no. The most important line is je t'aime when you're out at the nightclub. Don't tell people what it means. All right, listen, I want to get right into it. You are an incredibly interesting young man. At 75, you dance like the wolves. You're incredible, still very athletic, and you figured out how to get on the internet by yourself this time. I love it, Andre. Thank you.
My
Listen,
pleasure.
I'm going to take you back to the Peterborough Petes. In 1965-67, I'm sure you remember that year very well.
Yep.
48 games, 40 goals, 80 assists for 120 points, my friend. Those are big, big numbers. Talk to us about that development to get to the Peterborough Petes and just absolutely dominate that league.
Well, I had two good players I played with. I played with Mickey Redmond and Danny Grant, and they each scored a lot of goals too. We had a great year. We had a great coach, a good bunch of guys. But I think what helped me a lot, Kerry, is the fact that I was kind of happy to leave Montreal to go to Peterborough because I'm from a small town, and playing in a small town that reminded me a lot of being back in Quebec, in Lauson, where I grew up. And my concentration was strictly on hockey. We might have had maybe 2 reporters that followed us. In Montreal, you had 20 of them. So, I think the difference was the fact that I was a lot more relaxed playing in Peterborough, and I love Peterborough.
Well, once you left to Peterborough, obviously you bounced around. You went into you didn't get drafted, which is amazing because the numbers you put up, not only in the WHA, but also in the NHL are incredible. And yet you weren't drafted. Was there a reason for that?
There was no draft then because...
Of course there wasn't.
No, because you had to sign a C form. And what happened when I was with Junior Canadian, Kerry, is that Sammy Pollock was the general manager of the Junior Canadians and the Canadians. And don't forget, when I played with Junior Canadian the year before, we had Cournoyer, Boudouillard, Savard, Lemaire, Wagner. All these guys were on the same team. And Sammy Pollock wanted me to sign the C form. In those days, if you signed the C form, they give you $500 and you belong to them for the rest of your life. And I didn't want to sign it. And Sammy Pollock was not happy. So when I went back to Quebec, I didn't know if I was going to get invited back to Montreal. And Quebec is the one that got in contact with Peterborough to invite me to try out in Peterborough. Because otherwise, I would have played for the Citadels in Quebec City. Major junior, but that was a step below from the Petes.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled to death when I went to Peterborough. And also, I couldn't speak English.
Yeah.
And nobody could speak French there. And that was huge. Huge.
Well, then the less pressure because nobody understood what the heck you were saying. Hey,
Exactly.
Listen, obviously, I want to send out all of our thoughts and prayers to New Zealand. They had a major earthquake last night. There was a tsunami. So thank you, Bobby, for reminding me. I called friends this morning. Everything is back to normal. They use crazy glue and hammers and nails to keep that island alive. So thank God for that. Listen, as you know, Andre, on the left-hand side, there's going to be a lot of comments coming in, but I first want to get to obviously the WHA. You didn't go to the WHA first. You went through the AHL and then the NHL. You played in Philadelphia, and then a couple of years later, you're playing in Philadelphia again, but for the WHA team. That is an incredible story. Walk us through how you went from the AHL, NHL, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in the WHA.
I think the biggest story of all of that, Kerry, is when I played with the Quebec Aces. I played for Vic Stasiak, probably the worst coach I ever had in Philadelphia. And then I had a great season. I had 6 hat tricks during the season. I was going for my record 7th. And then the Flyers called me up with 17 games to go. They say, we have some injuries. We'd like you to come for the weekend. That's okay. So I go to Pittsburgh, play on my first NHL game. We tied the game 1-1. I scored a goal. The next night, we played Philadelphia against Minnesota. We beat Minnesota. I believe it was 7-3, and I had 1 goal, 3 assists. And the next day, I go see Bud Poirier with my bag and ready to go back to Quebec to finish the season. He said, "You decide if you want to stay or if you want to go." And when you're a kid, you don't want to play in the AHL. You want to play in the NHL. I left a lot on the table when I stayed with Philadelphia. I still think about it today because I was leading the league in scoring by about 25 points, and someone beat me, I think, without playing the last week of the season. But I said the experience I could gain playing for the Flyers would be awesome. So I decided to stay with the Flyers. And I really thought I was going to play my whole career there. Ed Snyder is the best of the best owners I ever played for.
Yeah.
And even after I got traded to Chicago and I jumped league, I would go back to Philadelphia to visit my daughter, and I would go to the games and sit with Ed Snyder in his box. That's how close we were. And so when the Blazers came on, I was fortunate. I had good season with the Flyers. I was on my last year of my contract with the Blackhawks. And Billy Ray never gave me a chance to play my type of game. When he got me in Chicago, they wanted me to play with Bobby Hall. And to play with Bobby, you have to change your game because you need to feed him. And I said, when I played with two guys, didn't matter who I played with, they both scored a lot of goals because I was feeding both of them. But in Chicago, that was not the point. You had to feed Bobby. And that took my game away completely. So I was not happy at all. And I was lucky I was on my last year of my contract. And then I was making $31,000 a year in Chicago. I get a phone call from an attorney from Philadelphia. He said, "André, we just got a franchise in the WHA. I watched you play for the Flyers for 3 years. I would like you to come back to Philadelphia." And he said, "I have no idea what you're making, but he said, I'll double your salary and give you a 5-year deal." I said, "I'm gone." So I went to Philadelphia, and I talk about this in my book because I talk about all the contracts that I signed. I negotiated my own contract.
Well,
I had a lawyer for every.
Andre, let me interrupt you for a second because I think that's really important. Listen, people, you've got to get this book. It's after the second snowfall. And what's really cool about it is the fact that you go in depth on how you were doing these contracts. Most had player agents, and here you are, a player also negotiating your deals, which is pretty tricky. And tell us a little bit about that, because that's really
It was tricky. And the reason I negotiate, Kerry, is because I was fortunate. I had good season, and I knew how much I was worth in those days. I also want to work a good relationship with the owners because coming from a big family, you grew up with nothing. And I was one of the first guys to jump league with Bernie and, a bunch of guys, Jerry Cheevers and a lot of other guys. And I said, we need to make sure the league survive. And so it was important for me to make sure that I had a good relationship with everyone I played with. So when I signed with Philadelphia, one of the things that I put in all of my contract, Kerry, was if the team moved, if the team changed ownership, I became a free agent. And when I went back to Philadelphia with the Blazers, I didn't think we would play there for a long time because you couldn't compete with the Flyers as far as attendance. And the Spectrum wouldn't give us good dates to play anyway because it was done in their best interest to do that. So when the team moved to Vancouver, I became a free agent. So I didn't want to go to Vancouver. And I said, New York contacted me. And I said, well, it has to have a team in New York. And the funny story with New York, Kerry, is when I went there, the owner called me and said, I want you to come for a meeting. So I walk in the office. And I see these gorgeous girls sitting in the office there. And he said, they want to take you out to lunch. I said, okay. And my wife at the time is with me. The secretary took my wife out to lunch. So we go for lunch, and these three girls used to be in Penthouse. They said, we're part of a new magazine now called Viva. And Viva was competing with Playboy for women, okay? They said, we want you to be the second edition in our book, in our magazine. They said, we'll take picture of you in the shower. Everything's going to be.
Oh, no, not you as a centerfold.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
The second edition, I was going to be that, okay? And I said, I let them talk, And I said, I don't think so. I said, why not? I said, I'll give you some good reason. I said, I'm the youngest of 14 kids being raised Catholic. And I said, I would never do anything at all that my parents would be upset with me. And I said, beside that, I have a brother that I admire so much, and he's a priest. And I said, there's no way in the world I could do that to him. No way. And I didn't even ask them how much they would pay. I said to them, I said, you know what? I'll bet you if you ask Derek Sanderson will do it. They said, we don't want Derek, we want you. I said, well, I'm not interested. They said, we'll supply you with a limousine, we'll pick you up. I said, how many times do I have to say no? And I went back to the office, and then my wife said to me, what did you decide? I said, I wouldn't do it. I had no interest in that. But I had so much fun negotiating my contract. And I don't know, Kerry, if I didn't have all the good years I had in the World Hockey Association, I'm not sure if I would have negotiated my own contract, because I'm not sure I could demand the money I did. But I was fortunate because I led the league in scoring, and, I had good year every year.
Hey, Andre, tell us this. Do you think the WHA downfall was the fact that they were throwing all these incredible prices to everybody? And you mentioned the Flyers versus, what was it, the Blazers? Philadelphia Flames? What was it?
The Blazers?
The Blazers. What was the difference between the fans? Like, did you, the Spectrum at that time was always sold out. And what about you guys?
Well, the problem, Philadelphia was a Flyers town. It was not a Blazers town. And then we were playing in a terrible, terrible arena. I mean, we missed the first game because the Zamboni came on the ice. They had fake ice. And when the Zamboni tried to come off the ice, he lifts some of the ice up. So
hang on a second here. Whoa. Stop. You were in a rink with a Zamboni, but it was, what do you mean fake ice?
What happened is that they didn't have the pipes. They had what they call they made ice for us, okay? So the Zamboni tries to come off the ice, and as you come off the ice, you lift the back of the Zamboni to get off the ice. So you pull some ice. And the mistake they made is that on opening night, they gave everybody a beautiful orange puck with the Blazers logo on it. And those pucks are heavy. But instead of giving to them on the way out, they gave it to them on the way in. So Derek Sanderson takes a microphone to tell him he's sorry that there won't be any game, and people are throwing pucks at Derek on the ice. And Derek had rented a Rolls Royce. It was parked right by the rink, and the people knew it was his car. And somebody put a big scratch on his door on the way out.
Yeah.
That was
only Flyer fans.
That was the
only Philly
fans. Yeah.
Hey, listen, so the question that I want to get, so do you think, obviously, Bobby Hall, big ticket in Winnipeg, and, the whole, they were trying to steal everybody, and they took some pretty good players. Do you think that was the downfall because they weren't getting the same crowds that they were anticipating? Or what was the downfall of the WHA, in your mind?
Well, I don't think there was any downfall, Kerry, really. I think what happened with the WHA is that at the end, they sued the NHL. The NHL sued the WHA, and they knew that they were both going to be losers if they keep going. So the only way, the NHL didn't want to merge. They didn't want to bring WHA team, but at the end they had to. They didn't have a choice because WHA was getting stronger and stronger. And don't forget, the WHA was paying their players more at the time when they started than the NHL in many cases. So I think what happened is the WHA had such good ownership at the end when they only had 6 teams. And the NHL said, well, the ownership is pretty solid in a lot of places, so we'll merge and then everybody will be happy. So I think we accomplished what we wanted to do. We want to make sure the league survive, but we also want to make sure that if we were going to come out, we were going to come out on our terms. I mean, it was not a situation where that we were going to come out because we couldn't survive because of the NHL. I strongly believe today that the WHA, if they didn't merge with the NHL, they would have lasted longer with 6 or 8 teams. I really believe that.
Good point. Hey, listen, Andre, before we get this picture up, it's a great picture. You already showed you as a youngster. I just want to go through some of the comments on the right-hand side. Obviously, this was a little earlier. Oilers, no comment. I don't know if you're watching games in that, but the Oilers are kind of falling apart in front of us.
I watched some of the games, by the way. I watched some of the NHL games. I don't watch the late games. I feel bad because I don't watch your Winnipeg team that you like. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, to be honest with you, Kerry, I think that as far as I'm concerned, I think there are only two teams that can win the Stanley Cup this year:
Okay, let's hear it. Right here,
Tampa
you're
Bay,
hearing it from.
Tampa Bay, and Toronto.
Oh my God.
Yeah. At one point, I thought that Colorado might be there, but Colorado is they're not consistent. The Flyers, I think the Flyers, if they get a good an experienced defenseman, they might be okay, but they won't get an experienced defenseman unless they give something away. And I don't think their goaltending is consistent.
No, Hart's
And
been
the reason
struggling.
I see the Maple Leafs, to be honest with you, I've watched about 3 or 4 games in Maple Leafs, and since they changed coaching staff, the kids are having fun, and they're good players. They're awesome,
Yeah, good
So
point. Yeah,
they play the game for have fun, and that's what you should do. There's no pressure, and they have a darn good team, I'll tell you.
absolutely. Well, we saw that with the Edmonton Oilers in 3 games, 13 goals, 1 goal against, and
Right.
held Draisaitl and McDavid to nothing. So really good job. Hey, Clive Conley, all the way from Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for joining us. I know that André Lacroix is your type of player. I know you woke up early just to listen to it. André is a great among great. Now, because of your Winnipeg comment, you used to be my number one. I was your number one fan. I've now dropped to number 2. But someday you may get that back one day. Your French is good. He's a Frenchman, Simon. Come on, buddy. Simon,
By the way, do you know, Kevin, I still play hockey every Sunday morning.
you still do?
I play hockey I didn't play during COVID, okay? And then
Yeah.
I'm going to start again on the 14th. Every Sunday morning, I have a group. We've been doing this for like 12 years now. Play for an hour and a half. And I got my second shot, so I'm okay now to go on. So I play every Sunday morning. I love it.
All right. Here's what we need. We need your son come and watch the game and do a little video to see you.
Okay.
All right. All right. And I want it. You said you had your second shot. I can't wait to see your second win.
No, I'll get my son to do that, and we'll send it to
All
you.
right. Let's do that. You know what we'll do is I want to get more than just you on the WHA. Obviously, I've got the picture behind it. Maybe we could get 2 or 3 of your line mates of the days gone by.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so you and I'll talk about that after. Obviously, Flyers legend, but more so, I just wanted to bring you to the attention. There's a couple more here. I can attest, great book. That's your agent, I think. What a story.
I'm translating it in French, not for the people in Quebec.
Fantastic. I'll buy it. First, I got to learn how to read in English. All right, listen, here's a great comment. Bobby B. Andre put some impressive numbers up throughout your career. Was there a goalie in the season that you played in 74, 75, San Diego Mariners, 147 points in 78 games? Those were big. Forget it was NHL, WHA. Those are big numbers anywhere. Talk to us about that. What a great season.
Well, you know what was important to me that year, Kerry, is the fact that I had 106 assists. And to me, I always felt, being a centerman, having 100 assists in one season is like batting 400 in baseball. And
Yes.
I figured that there are only 4 players in pro hockey that have had over 100 assists in one season. Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, and I. Those are the only 4 that ever had over 100 assists in one season. So that's why, to me, I scored 50 goals one year in the WHA, and to me, the 106 assists was so much more important than the 50 goals. Because
sorry, keep going.
Because, you see, even like when all my wingers, when I played with Rick Sentes, he had 40-some goals. Wayne Rivers had 40-some goals. Everybody I played with had 40-some goals. So to me, if you're center and you have a winger that scored 40 goals and the other guy scored 10, you didn't do your job. And to me, it was important that both wingers, if they both could score goals, then I would get the assist. And I wanted the first assist. I didn't want the second assist.
Yes. Hey, listen, our producer, Val, comes up and says, you were the original Adam Oates.
Adam Oates, what a great player. What a great player.
Unbelievable.
All the
way from one of my favorite parts of the world, Tasmania. They're coming in. Tasmania is just off the coast of Australia.
Nice.
That's interesting about the WHA potentially lasting longer. I got to admit, the first time I've ever heard that. So thank you for sharing that with us. And then we've got Sheila. I can't say the name, but it's been such a long time.
Oh,
So
she's a
happy
good
to
friend
see
of
you.
mine. She's
There
from
she is.
Philadelphia. Sheila Gorodetzer.
Oh,
Her and
yes,
her husband passed away. They were very good friends of mine.
oh, great to hear. That's what this show is all about, bringing everybody together. Hey, listen, was Ernie Wakely your goalie in San Diego?
Yeah, he was.
Ernie.
Oh, yeah. Ernie was a good goalie. Very quiet. He didn't belong with it. I mean, he was so quiet. And Ernie became a very religious man as well, and he did a lot of good things. Ernie did a lot of good things.
Look at Ernie.
Great guy. Cool. Great guy. You know what, Kerry? I'm so glad I played when I did instead of today, to be honest with you. I know I would, people always say to me, if you were playing today and you had the stats that you had when you played, what would you make? I said, I'd probably make $9 million a year. But
would I still be your buddy?
But they're not having fun today. They're not having fun. It's all business.
Would I be your buddy?
Yeah.
I could carry your bag. Hey,
I
listen,
know.
We've only got a couple more minutes. What we're going to do is, I'm really excited about doing a WHA. I'm going to leave it with you just to start thinking of some guys that we can get that know how to turn the internet on. Don't forget.
No. Kerry, we will, and we'll have fun too.
Okay, so here I wanted, before you go, Philadelphia Flyers, Chicago Blackhawks for Bobby, as you probably know, Paul Rosen, who comes on right after us, the Rosen Report, big fan. The Whalers, Hartford Whalers. Then you went over to WHA, Philadelphia Blazers, the Jersey Knights. What a name that was.
The worst
New York Golden Blades, San Diego Mariners, the Houston Astros, that was a great one, and the New England Whalers. Out of all those, yes.
Don't forget, Kerry, all the teams I played for, I was only traded once. I was a free agent all the other years. That's why I put in the book, because the only time I got traded was from the Flyers to the Blackhawks. Every other team, I went to the team thinking that was going to be my last stop. You
know what, Andre? What I learned in life, you can't teach what's in these hands. Show me your hands. Show me your hands. You just can't teach what's in that, kid. That's why they want to get rid of you. Last picture. Look at this one. I love this picture. Look at that.
Oh, that's a great picture with Bernie. Yeah. You know why Bernie wore number 0? You know why Bernie wore 00?
No.
Bernie, so report asked kids, why are you wearing number 00? He said, when the puck goes in the net, I go, uh-oh. That's why he wore number 00.
Yes, there will be a 50th anniversary for the WHA in 2022. We're going to be doing some stuff with you on that, buddy. Really look forward to it. And most importantly, that picture there, as I see it, I understand why they wanted you in Playboy.
Kevin, it's always a pleasure, buddy.
Playgirl. All right, kid. All right, I'm going to be talking to you this week. We're talking this week. In 2 weeks, I want to put together that WHA line with you.
Okay, buddy.
All right. Great to see you.
Thanks,
boom, boom.
Boom,
boom.
Thanks, buddy.
Yep. All right. Hey, guys, don't forget, get this book. It is incredible. After the second snowfall, and you can hear this guy tell stories all day long while you're reading it. There it is. André, boom, boom, Lacroix. See you, buddy.
Thank you so much, Gary. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too. I'll tell you what, he looks great. I hope I make it to 75, and if I do, I hope I look like him. Paul Pascu, yes, he does look great. We'd like him on our show for the 1974 Canadian-Russia series. I will organize that. I'll talk to Andre, make sure you get the information. Yes, he was also a member of the Team Canada 74. That was a hell of a series. Great players. All right, guys, listen. Paul Rosen, right after me, right now. Brad Bartko, you got to listen to this. An incredible story, an incredible athlete, just somebody that you just want to hear his story. Obviously, sorry about the athlete. I meant that the fact that he has gone through so much adversity and he's on top of the mountain. This kid is great. You got to listen to it. Brad Bartko with Paul Rosen. All right, guys, listen, thank you for joining us. Thank you to the Hockey News. Thank you to Sports Illustrated, Paramount Sports Management, where we go now and we find our good friend, Paul Rosen.
You've been listening to Gouche Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gouche, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.